Hello and welcome back to another video review. My name is Asher Figures, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new Transformers Studio Series, Transformers The Last Knight, Nemesis Prime. This is a second use of the mold from the Transformers Age of Extinction version, except this one will be slightly different with different arms, a different paint deco, and a little bit darker of the molding, so that'll be cool to see. I think there's a little bit of different accessories as well. Up in the top left there we see Transformers in 46 steps, and here we can see through the clear plastic a couple of the different changes, with that being head sculpt, darker molding, and again the arms. So in the top left here we have a shot of Nemesis Prime when he first comes back to Earth. Then we have a couple different shots of the figure. We have one in the robot mode, and then two with a bunch of different accessories in the robot mode. So you can see the sword and shield, and then here we have his blaster, and it looks like his kind of smaller sword that comes out of his forearm. That's pretty cool. Without further ado, let's jump into the figure. Here we have Nemesis in his robot mode. As you can see, he's very cool. The big difference between this mold and the other mold that came out last year is the fact that it is a darker color scheme that they're going for. With the darker color scheme, you can see a lot of colors just popping out against the chest, which looks great when compared to the previous mold of this guy with the kind of brighter gray that they use. Kind of outshines the other coloring, but here it looks really great. Moving to the other kind of changes, so the shoulders here and the forearms are a little bit different than that of the previous mold, that being his kind of knight armor that he has there, which looks cool. And you have the fire details there that he has in the movie. So as you can see, the head sculpt here, you have the purple eyes, which looks super menacing. Would have been cool maybe if it could fit some light piping and have some of them glow, but they're just kind of in this matte coloring. The head sculpt here, it doesn't have the face mask, so you actually can see his face. And on the right side there, you have the red that kind of symbolizes that he's under the control of Contessa. It would have been nice if they could have added a little more paint on the kind of tip of his horns, just kind of add a little bit of color there, but it's not too bad as it is in that darker color. You can kind of have him kind of be muted as he's kind of evil, so I think that is really cool. Moving down to the legs, you can see just lots of great detailing, the shins there, and this really cool kind of darker silver color. The feet as well are kind of different, so they have the red and then the kind of gray. Now from the front, the figure looks amazing. As you can see, lots of great kind of details going on, but as we kind of tilt the figure to the left there, you can see a lot of kibble and truck mode components just kind of littered across the body there. Doesn't look as great as the front does, which is a little unfortunate. There's the tailpipes that he has over the shoulder. I wish they were a little bit bigger, because they kind of hide in the back there. Now, the figure here is a little mistransformed. The actual transformations, you're supposed to have this up, but I like to kind of leave that down, especially if I'm not having the shield component on the back, as I find it gives this cleaner look, especially from the front. This is kind of a hard design to make into a great figure, as a lot of the truck components don't exist within the molding, which is a little unfortunate for the designers, but I think they did as best the job that they could have, especially when the transformation is so awesome to get this to a truck mode. A lot of the kind of engineering that went into this figure is really great and really cool to see. So for weapon storage, this guy has a little piece here that you connect to the back, and you can use that to put your shield and your sword onto the character. So your shield just kind of plugs in, and your sword rests in there as well. So looking from the back, you have that really cool design that he has when he has his sword and shield on his back in the movies. Now with this, you have that piece that blocks everything. A unofficial way to store your blade, which I do like a lot. This is kind of similar to that of the movie mold that they had a couple of years ago, where it kind of rests like that. I think the over the shoulder there just looks a little bit better, and allows this piece here to be brought down to kind of minimize the kibble from the front at least. The shield here you can have either on the forearms or on the back. You can kind of connect it into the hands. As you can see, it kind of looks kind of stupid. Last thing we can do with the shield is split it apart and have his gun component that he uses during some of the battle scenes, which looks really cool as well. And then the last two accessories, you have this short blade that he uses against Bumblebee. This here is very highly detailed. You have this dark gunmetal gray that they have going on, and then lots of different molding and detail towards the blunt of the blade, which looks really cool. And then this piece here connects into the forearm. You can put it on either hand. You just got to bring the hand kind of all the way out, and you connect into this part here. You can do this on both sides, like so, and then you can fit the hand back like that so that his blade comes out and looks really cool. It's integrated basically into the forearm, which does look really, really cool. You have this blaster here he uses in his entrance against the knights. It's molded in this blue with this dark gunmetal gray kind of poking out with the barrel, which looks really awesome. You can connect the blade here and the gun here to connect into the vehicle mode. Now in robot mode, you can't store the blaster or blade into the figure here, which is kind of unfortunate. If you're not using any of these, you kind of just have them off to the side, and this kind of has to be off to the side as well, especially if you're having the piece here down, as that kind of covers this up. You can kind of have it like that, but it does kind of look stupid. I'm going to give a score for the robot mode here. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I do really love the molding and sculpting that they have for this figure. It changes with the mold with the addition of the knight arms is really awesome, and the purple eyes with the red scar looks really great and makes the figure pop. The addition of the darker molding color that they have for the figure just helps the colors pop a lot more compared to the previous rendition of this mold. And the addition of the weapons here look really great with the figure, especially the blaster I love is in that blue with the gunmetal gray. I love that it's not just one color, but we get to the kibble and the back of the figure and it just looks awful. So I'm gonna knock some points off there, but overall with the design that they came up with and the engineering, I think is really cool to see. So we're gonna give this an 8 out of 10. Jumping into the articulation, the head sculpt here is on a ball joint. You can lift right and left. You can't really look up, that's basically as far as you can go, and you can go a little bit down. The piece here you can rotate 360 and kind of up and down to kind of accommodate for whatever you want to do with your arms here. The elbow here can bend all the way up into the shoulder there. That's part of transformation. The shoulder is on a joint here. You can do full 360 up and down. You can bring it out like that, about that far, and it can rotate there just above the elbow. Bringing down to the hands are 360, and you can bring them out. This is part to allow for the blade to come out of either hand and allow you to get some different hand movement with your sword. The hand here can also open all the way to allow you to grip the sword. Moving out the waist, you can move 360. You have to move the kind of skirt pieces out of the way a little bit to allow you to get that to move all around, but it is able to move 360. Again, moving the side skirts out of the way, the legs can kick forwards about that far, back like that. To the side, you can do the splits with this character, and then just above the knee there, you can do full 360. The knee can also bend to about there, about 90, and then the feet can do full 360 because of transformation. The feet can also rock all the way to the side as well. A very well articulated figure. We're going to give a 9 out of 10. I love the addition of the hands, how they can move kind of out like that. It allows you to get some cool poses with your sword, and obviously allows you to get your short blade out of the forearm as well. And I love that the hands are also articulated. So overall, very great articulated figure. Alright, let's jump into transformation. Start off, we're going to take off the accessories and just set them to a side. Alright, spinning them around, we're going to take the back section here and we're going to untab that from the front. So just bring that out and bring the other side. So these are the two doors, just make sure they're hinged straight out. Next, we're going to take this section right here and just hinge it away from the body and bring it up like so. Next, we'll take the grill section from underneath and just bring that out. And then we're going to flip this around so now that it is facing to the top. From here, we're going to take the chest. We're going to untab that from the body, just hinge that up. and then take the arms and hinge those out. So taking the chest, we are going to now split it in two and hinge this in all the way. We're going to take this piece and we're just going to hinge that out like so, and then hinge the head. Now with that done, we're going to take the two wheels here that are in the chest section, and we're going to bring those out like this and bring those to the side. Next, take the skirt piece and collapse that in, and then collapse the other one in. From here, we're going to then take the whole section here and we're going to hinge this down so that it's going to kind of rest into here. So maneuver it around so that you then rest that piece in that little cavity. Take your front section here and kind of rest it over that, and take your two wheels that we brought from the chest and bring those in. So they're going to, there's a slot here, it's going to tab into the front grille, so tab that in, and then take the other section and then tab that in on the other side. You can bring the top section too and tab that down. Next we'll come to the arms here, and we're just going to rotate here at the elbow. So now the arm is like so, and we're going to fold it. Now taking advantage of that double hinge joint to where we're going to hinge it in on itself and collapse it all the way like that. We're then going to take the pauldron piece up here, we're going to twist that, and there is a tab here that there's a slot, it's going to slot into that. That done, we're going to do that on the other side. From here, we can flip it around and look at bringing these down and taking the hinge out like so, and then hinge that all the way. For the other side, you're going to bring it down, and then you can untab it right here and fling that around. So now we can take the arms, and there's a tab here at this arm and then a slot here. So when you collapse those in, you're going to tab that in so. Some things might untab, but just it's okay. So tab that in, and then looking at the outside here, we're going to tab this into the door so it'll help to kind of lift the door a little bit. Bring that in, and then you're going to tab the door onto that portion. Kind of collapse everything together. You can see there it lines up pretty nicely. You make sure you're also lining up with the top section as well. Some things may untab, but you just slot those back in. With most of the front section done, we're going to move down to the legs. We are going to look at it like this and flip the legs around, do a full 360. So the legs are now facing to the camera. We're going to look at the underside of the truck and take this front skirt piece, and we're going to hinge this up. There's a tab here at the top that's going to slot into this gray piece. So just line that up, and then that collapses in like so. Moving down the leg. So then we are going to take both of your feet, kind of bring that down, and then take the heel part as well, bring that down. We're then going to twist that around so that it's facing like this, and then you're going to twist your foot, twist your leg just above the knee so that it is facing in. Next, we're going to untab the top section here from the wheel, so just bring that out and then bring it up like so. So untab from this side and then swing up. From here, for now, we're just going to swing this, hinge this up and over towards the front of the cab. And we're going to now take the wheels. We're going to untab from the wheel. So untab from the top here. Just have that hanging on both sides. And from here, we can do is take the foot and we're going to hinge this up out of the foot. Hinge that up out of the leg and bring that towards the front. And then same thing with the other side. Next, from the leg, we're going to take this gray section and flip it around. So now this is half of the trailer hitch, and then the other side has the other half. Kind of line that up as best you can. Bring your wheels back in. So they're going to connect into two different slots here and here, and just tab that in. Same thing on the other side, just tab that back in. Before we connect the two halves of the feet together, what we're going to do is make sure that this is fixed together. So take this, and we're going to untab that from the gray part and swing that into the stacks there. So this is going to be the top that's going to go over the cab. We're going to untab from the gray portion and then put into the chimney. This can hinge back. So this part here hinges back, and that's going to go over the top there. So this also will connect together with a couple different tabs. So we can start here at the back. So the two tabs I mentioned earlier will slot in, the two trailer hitches are going to slot in, and then the two portions here are also going to tab in together. Lots of different tabs. You also have this here piece that's going to slot into this section here on both sides. Next, we're going to tab the trailer hitch and the lag together. And then we're going to kind of, so there's a tab here that there's a tab that's going to slot into there. There's a tab here that'll slot into there. And you have to tab these in with the body of the truck. So just kind of tab in as best you can. Some things are going to untab as you go. Let's just kind of do the best you can, tabbing in as much stuff as you can. So once you're done connecting all the tabs into the cab, we can then finish off with bringing the foot. It's going to slot into the tab up front here. Just kind of bring that in. You're also going to tab into the section that we connected to the cab. So just tab that all in, and that should secure everything like so. Do that with the other side. Let's make sure we're hinged back, and then we can connect with our all tabs. To finish up transformation, we're going to take our accessories here and implement them into the truck. To start off, we're going to take the blaster and the blade here. We're going to use it to, there's a slot here that you tab into the blaster. We're just going to tab that in. Then you have the blaster and the blade connected. We're then going to take the blaster here, and on the back of the truck by the wheels here, there's a tab that we can slot into this slot here. And there we go. That's just rests against the wheels there. Next, we're going to take this little piece here that holds your blade and your shield in the robot mode. We're going to implement this piece here. I'm going to put it into the trailer hitch there, like so. This plops in. You're going to take your sword here and just gently put it through to where you're going to put under your hole here, like that. You're going to take the shield and you're just going to plug that in over the top. With that, all of these accessories are now implemented into the truck mode. The transformation to get from robot to truck mode is super in-depth and is really cool how many... The transformation to get from robot to truck mode is crazy. The transformation and the engineering that had to go into this figure is really cool, and the final product gives us a very, very nice truck. You'll have the, obviously you have the accessories here now, but we can take those off and look at the truck mode in more detail. But to say I was impressed would be an understatement. From taking the legs apart and bringing all this stuff out from the legs and like just putting the whole thing together was very fun and very intuitive. So overall, I think a 9 out of 10 for the transformation. It is a little, not hard, but there's a lot of different tabs that you need to kind of make sure go together very properly. So I think a 9 out of 10 overall. Very great transformation and super fun too. So now with the accessories off the truck, we can jump into the vehicle mode here. There's a lot of great details for the truck here. You'll notice the big difference between this one and the previous release of this mold is the fact that the siding here, the tailpipes there, and kind of the back of the truck along to the trailer hitch is in the gunmetal gray, continuing from the kind of darker color scheme that they're using for the robot mode. It does clash a little bit with the silver at the front, but looking side on, I think overall it gets the kind of darker evil color scheme they're going for, and I do very much like it. Up in the front, you can see the grills in the silver. You have the Autobot symbol there in the silver. Looking to the side of the truck, on the door, you actually have some wording. It is kind of hard to make out, but it's the Western Star kind of badge with the 5700 designation. Moving along the truck, you have the different details for the wheels and the nice silver pinned on. They roll very, very nicely. Bringing us to the back section, this is definitely kind of the worst part of the truck. A lot of different holes and stuff, but I think overall it could have been a lot worse. The transformation with the legs are pretty impressive, and it still gives this really nice kind of silhouette. You know what's going on. You have the extra details of the grilling here, which is cool. On the back here, there's also kind of grilling detail and different pipes and stuff. And you have the, the tailpipes for the vehicle mode. Looks really awesome, and the trailer hitch too does look really cool. With this vehicle mode, I kind of want to try to find my Dark of the Moon Optimus Prime with his trailer and incorporate that into this. I'm not sure if the port would be the same, I kind of hope so, but I think that would look really cool in this vehicle mode. Have the truck and then the trailer, I think would be a very nice pairing. I know that that doesn't happen in the movies, but it would be really cool to incorporate as maybe a display on a shelf or something. The truck also rolls really nicely. He is a little heavier, so he doesn't roll super fast, but I think that is in line with kind of how fast this truck could move in real life. So I think that's really cool. But jumping to a score, I would gotta give this a 9 out of 10. I do really like this truck mode and what they've done with it. The transformation to get here is awesome. So overall, a 9 out of 10. Jumping into the value section of this figure, I think overall the stuff we get with him, the darker color scheme for the weapons and the figure, I think really amplify the molds for all four of these. The addition of the two accessories here for the figure, the blaster in the blue and the dark gray, and the short blade he uses against Bumblebee, I think are great additions. What I would have loved to see was another accessory or two with this figure. If we could have got the Staff of Merlin or the hammer that Bumblebee uses during their fight against each other, I think that would have been really awesome, as we don't really get any of those in any of the other figures, especially as this is a re-release of this mold. There is slight retools, I'll give you that, but it would have been nice if a little bit extra was thrown in. Maybe in a third-party kind of upgrade kit, maybe we can see something like that. But for release of this figure, I think it would have been something that would have been nice to see. But overall, I think the value is still here for what you're getting, and the addition of these accessories are really nice. So overall, I'm going to give this section a 9 out of 10. And rounding out the review with final thoughts, I really loved Nemesis Prime here. I love the darker color scheme and the overall mold and engineering put into this character. The vehicle mode is also really great. For a final score, we're going to give him a 44 out of 50. Overall, a very great score, just a few different areas that it could be improved upon, but overall, a very great character. I'm glad that he is a thing that exists. I look forward to Night Megatron whenever that character will come out, hopefully sooner rather than later, as I would love to pair him and Nemesis Prime together. Maybe in the future if we also get Quintessa, that would be really cool to have all three together as the kind of trio. Wrapping the video up, if you wanted to look into other reviews that I have on the channel, I have the recently released Barricade from the Last Night down in the description below. A very great figure, especially pairing him with Nemesis Prime here. I don't believe they've shared any on-screen appearances. It's been a while since I've watched the movie, but seeing them together now looks really awesome with their kind of two dark color schemes, kind of bounce off of each other. But without further ado, that is the video. If you did like the video, please do leave a like, consider subscribing, and drop a comment down below what you think of this figure, Nemesis Prime. Is there anything you would change or add to him, or do you think he's perfect as he is? But without further ado, that is the video, and I'll see you next week.